Okay, so that was the theory that I wanted to introduce into our category system. And Anita wanted to introduce the idea that that verbal behavior was actually behavior, that when you were talking, you could actually code words the same way that you can code behavior, which seemed really strange to me. Really strange, the idea that words were actually behavior. But, you know, Nita's very, very bright, and she's also very, very personable, so I was willing to give it a chance. So we got to our behaviors, which was ambiguity and redundancy. And then I came up with something that I thought was much more important, because I was very, very big-headed then, different from now, of course, but I was very big-headed then, and I decided that contradictions were even more important and more lethal than ambiguity or redundancy. So when you're in a conversation and you're talking and someone says, yes, that's a wonderful idea, but, and they take it back to their own opinion, okay, and you say, well, yes, I suppose that adds something to what I've been saying, but, okay, how do you feel at the other side of a yes, but communication? Huh? Left out. Not heard. Trivialized. Okay. Personalized. What else?
Pushed away.
I'm sorry?
Pushed away.
Oh, you feel pushed away. Okay. Any other responses?
One up, one down.
One up, one down. Which side do you take?
Probably one down.
Particularly if they have a role that's more important than yours, like if you're being taught something. Right. Yeah.
I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, so you want to go away. Yeah. So you either do it in your head or in your speech, or you actually leave. Any other reactions to yes, but?
Frustration.
Uh-huh. And when you get thoroughly frustrated, what do you want to do?
Wring your neck.
Uh-huh. You're more in my subgroup. So you and I go one up.
Yes. I think if I can identify it, I go one up. If I can't identify it, then I have...
Yes, if you don't realize what's happening to you is you're being yes-butted to death.
And I sort of feel like I can't quite get in, but I don't know why, and so then I figure the problem's on my side.
Great, great, great. So do you see that we've identified 3 verbal behaviors that have a big impact both on what happens inside us when we're on the other side of it, and both what happens in the communication channel. Okay, so that was the raw material of developing SAVI. Mine fascinated by Shannon and Weaver and improving on their theory, and Anita fascinated by observation systems and what you can do to demonstrate what happens if you follow certain communication patterns. All right. Now, the other thing that I was extremely interested in, can you all see down here? Okay. The other thing that I was extremely interested in was the relationship between what we were calling topic, what people were talking about, and in those days in group dynamics we talked about maintenance, and maintenance was managing the affect and the system itself so that the system itself could support communication. So let's just call it affect or feelings. So we started to try to see how would we discriminate when the preponderance in the message was what one was talking about, and the preponderance of the message about who was talking. So you see the difference when I come in and I say, well, the mathematical theory of communication developed by Shannon and Weaver was the underpinning of the theoretical place that we started developing the theory from. And what they said was that there was an inverse relationship between noise or entropy in the communication channel and the probability that the information in that channel got across. Am I in topic or in person? Okay. Now, I'm going to say the same thing. So the thing that's absolutely going to delight you is the way that Shannon and Weaver, they were absolutely brilliant physicists. And they did what they actually did, which I know is going to be meaningful to all of you. Okay? Am I predominantly in topic or in person? Okay. So what we did then was we started to code communication acts of verbal behavior as to whether they were preponderantly what we were talking about or what the person was communicating about themselves. And when they were congruent, when the words matched the music, our expectation was that more information would get across because there wasn't a contradiction. On the other hand, if it was more person than topic, we'd start to pay attention to the person and we'd lose the message. And if it was all message, we'd listen to the message, we'd lose the person, but we would get bored or retaliatory very, very soon. Because if you don't know from SCT already, you're going to learn that nothing gets across if it's just intellectual. The only way something really gets across is from the emotions. Because if you think of the way the brain develops and babies develop, we start from sensation. Then there's an emotional relationship to the sensation. Then there are feelings associated to the emotion. And as we grow older, from about 2 or 3 on, we start to find words that will describe the feelings, which reflect the emotion, which reflects the sensation. Now, sadly enough, in our culture, what we've learnt to do is to get the opinion, the words, and generate the emotions from how we think. Okay, so you must have all by now had experience of undoing negative predictions. Okay, so negative predictions are purely mental. They don't exist in the real world. They're not even about the real world. They're all about the future. And yet the feelings that are generated from negative predictions exist. And what we're doing is what our mind, as separate from our brain, what our mind can recognize is that we are manufacturing our experience from the way we are thinking.